Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Emina Juliana binti Adam. My metric number is S56003. Today I will prepare a contact diagram to document account payable processing at SNS for Flash Ashton Fleming. For a contact diagram, I will create using basic diagram. First of all, I will take a circle shape. For this symbol is mean the transformation process. This is show the process that transform data from input to output. For this circle shape, I will put SNS account payable. For SNS account payable, there is have 4 data sources. The square shape show the data sources and destination. This is used for the people or organization that send data to and receive data from the system. For the first data sources, I will put purchasing. The second data sources, I will put receiving. This is for vendor. And last data sources is for management. And then I will put a data flow. This line is show the data flow. Data flow is the flow of data into or out of the processing. For this data flow, I will put purchase order. That's mean SNS account payable will receive purchase order. And then the second data flow is from receiving to SNS account payable. This is for receiving report. And then for vendor, from SNS account payable to vendor, they will receive invoice. Sorry, it's the vendor will give invoice to SNS account payable. And SNS will make payment and remittance at 5 for vendor. And lastly, for management, the data flow will show the account payable report. This is a contact diagram to document account paper processing at SNS for external framing. That's all. Thank you.